Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Jace Beleren Must Die. We are short one goblin today, but that's okay, because Tack has gone underground to save their mom, and the rest of us will just have to make do. So this is either going to be the episode where everything gets done, or an episode where nothing gets accomplished. It's
everything, baby. We're gonna look into Jace Beleren's eyes. And we're gonna kill him.
Yes, sorry, Tack. Show's over. We got him.
We have a half an hour to spare, actually. We didn't do anything for the last half hour.
Yeah, we didn't even finish the episode. We got 20 minutes in. We found him. He was in the back alley behind the new prop. We just iced him, so it's over.
Wasn't that hard? Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, we just right place at the right time. He stopped to get a sandwich. But before we get to all that, how has everyone been? I realize it's me and the city of Chicago. So if the three of you just want to talk about Chicago stuff for the next 20 minutes, I'll sit here quietly taking notes. But how is everybody?
Yeah, I don't even know anything going on
in
Chicago
well
anymore.
Yeah, did get up to anything exciting, Masood?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about on Twitch.
Yeah, that's right. What we need to do is we need to start like we're gonna start a Patreon separate thing where we do videos where we talk about all the stuff that we're like, this isn't our house. We probably should just not tell that story. That's fine.
What I was thinking about is I do think it's fascinating that three of us are in Chicago. I would maybe one day we'll all do our setup in my dining room, each on different sides of the table. I'll host a brunch. It would be so fun.
I will get us a theater that has live streaming capabilities.
We
could do it at Cards.
Yeah, sure.
There's something funny about
during the day.
There's something funny about the idea of doing Jace Beleren Must Die live.
Well, you know what? We could totally do it at Cards, and they would let us have the stage, and there's a projector on stage, and we could just have Adam above our heads.
Yes.
I mean,
we'll get TK to drive up. It'll be perfect.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard for me to fly to Chicago. Like I could do that.
No, you're good.
I'm allowed to leave Canada, Listen, I played a game like that, and it was very strange. For the Waypoint, their kind of opening thing back when Waypoint started, they did a 72-hour live game stream, and for 4 of those hours I ran Dungeon World for Austin and the crew at Waypoint. They were all in their studio because they had been in New York doing the thing for several hours already, but I was here and I was like, oh look, everybody's around the table and they're poking each other and interacting with their bodies, and I'm all millions of miles away in Canada on the internet. Listen, I'm allowed to leave Canada, okay? I just want to be invited to
Canada
things.
in quotes. Canada, like it doesn't exist. Like, where are you?
Yes. Listen, I assure you, Canada is completely real, and I'm definitely not on a secret base on the moon. Don't tell anybody. It's just
the smoon.
Yeah, Canada, like the moon landing, was faked. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick invented Canada so that the U.S. government could pretend that there was a country above them, but there isn't. There's nothing there.
So many movies are filmed in Canada.
That's what I'm saying.
It's practically a set.
That's right. I live on a soundstage. I watched an episode of David Chang's new TV show, and I don't know if anybody watched Ugly Delicious, but it was great.
Yes.
So David Chang is a chef. He's the Momofuku guy. And he had a TV show called Ugly Delicious, but they did a kind of it's the sequel to the show. It's called Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner, and it's it kind of feels like that new thing where it's like a comedian or like a personality will do a show, and then every episode is with one of their famous friends, and they go somewhere. And in this case, they eat food and talk about it. But the first episode was set in Vancouver, and it was him and Seth Rogen. And the whole time was so weird for me because they weren't pretending that they were somewhere else. It wasn't like, today's episode is Seattle, but it's clearly filmed in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah,
it was like, it's actually Vancouver. And look at all this stuff, and we can call it what it is. And it was just very weird for me as someone who lives in the Chameleon City to be like, yep, cool. It's actually Vancouver. Not like we're going to pretend with some different colored signs. It's a weird compliment.
Yeah. I could not get over that when TV shows do that, when they're like, this is set in Chicago. Like The Good Wife is set in Chicago, but filmed in New York.
Yeah.
And it just little things just bother me. Like street signs are different, and parking meters are different, and it just pisses me off the entire, where are the alleys? Oh, you guys don't have alleys like we do. Like that type of shit pisses me off.
Yeah, one of my favorite Vancouver things is driving somewhere and looking in my rearview mirror and seeing a cop car and being like, "Uh-oh, cop car." And then I'm like, "Oh, no, fake movie cop car. It's fine. That's a New York City police car. That's not a real." Nope, that's fine. They're just on their way to the studio. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Did I ever tell you guys the time I time traveled? Yeah, I probably did, right? Nope. Ever tell you that? I never told you the time I time traveled.
I don't think I remember a time travel story.
Did I ever tell you the time I threw back all of the laws of physics and reality? No? Sure, let me get into it.
I've never told you guys this story. This is a great story.
James Cameron made a whole movie about it. Come on.
So it was late at night. I was going to go visit my friend Munchie. Yes, his name is Munchie. And I'm like,
there's so many metaphors already.
I'm driving down. I'm going to Pilsen in Chicago, which is like this old, like Hispanic neighborhood. And I'm going to Pilsen and I go like right over like a viaduct or something like that. And it's really dark. And I noticed all the streetlights are off on Halsted, and this is Halsted and Archer. And I'm like, it's very busy, but like it's usually very busy, but it's completely empty, and there's no lights. And I'm like, this is weird. The power probably went out or something. And I keep driving forward, and I notice like, oh, there are streetlights. Wait, they're not streetlights. They're street lamps. And there's like literal fire in them. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look left and look to the right, and there's people walking, but they're dressed like old timey style, like in like suits and dresses and stuff. And then I look to my right and there's a Model T car. And I'm like, for a split second, guys, I'm not saying it was a long time, but I'm just saying within a moment, I really did have to consider that I traveled through time. Like I went over a viaduct. Maybe that was a wormhole or something. That's what I had to think of in that moment. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Did I really go back in time? And of course I don't ask anyone, because obviously they're looking at my car and it's out of place in time. So I don't want to draw more attention.
Also, the sanest thing a person can do, literally, if you want to prove that you're sane, the best thing you can do is grab a random stranger and shout, "What day is it?
What year is it?"
What's today's date? October 3rd. No, the year.
The year.
You idiot. Where's the newspaper? What's a newspaper? Oh my God.
For some reason, when you started talking about going back in time, I immediately went to dinosaurs in my brain. So I imagined that entire thing. I was envisioning what you were describing, but with the Jurassic Park music in the background. So yeah, good. You see a gal.
Needless to say, I went a block or two. I turned left. There was normal cars there. They were shooting the Rum Diaries with Johnny Depp that day, I guess, and they closed off the street, but they didn't close off when I had come in, or they hadn't closed it up. Yeah, they didn't close it off by the time I got there. So yeah, that's the time I traveled in time, guys.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like if you live in a city where occasionally things get filmed, you do have those moments where you intersect with surreality. And normally you can see a film happening. You can see them like all like lights and the truck. It's the trucks and people standing around holding walkie-talkies, seemingly doing nothing. That's how you can tell that there's a film crew operating. But every once in a while, yeah, you'll walk in the other end and maybe you miss the big sign with all the legalese on it. That's like, if you cross the street, you're the property of the Warner Brothers Corporation. And then you look around and you're like, what, why, what is happening to me?
I was in college and I was living in the Loop, and just for the Chicago people. So I'm in the Loop and I was in my dorm room and I looked out of my window like in the morning and I was like, oh, good morning. And I looked out the window and they had taken like one of the, just like the parking lots, the flat ground parking lots, completely ripped everything out and staged a massive helicopter crash.
Oh my God.
I looked at him and I was like, what the oh my God. And like I eventually saw all the things, which is like for a fucking second I was like, oh no. That was mine. No traveling in time. Just
I woke up the other day and I turned on the radio and this man said we were being invaded by Martians. It was the strangest thing. So I started a riot. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Those kinds of things, that like random intrusion of the surreal kind of hyper reality of a film set into your daily. Like I'm just gonna go get a coffee, and you're like, I guess I'm gonna take 6 extra blocks to go get this coffee because they have turned this area of town into winter, even though it's July. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Fine. Yeah.
Living
in a film town. Yeah. I have to say though, it's still exciting, right? It's still like in this silly little way, being able to see, like, watching a movie and being, wait a second, I recognize that bridge. I've been on that bridge, right? Like that.
I love that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like cool.
Yeah. It is fun being sort of like fact checker for the geography of the city though. Like there's a scene in, I want to say Tron, the Tron Legacy, that one that came out a little while ago. It's shot in Vancouver. And there's a shot where the main character, is riding a motorcycle and he rides it across a bridge, and then they shoot him from the other side, and it's a different bridge, but you wouldn't be able to tell unless you lived here. I was like, oh yeah, that's the Lions Gate. Hey, wait a second, that's Canby Bridge. What did you just do? The light's better from the other side. Totally different bridge.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I could see, if you were like the kind of person that needs to be like deeply immersed in film, it would throw you off, that would ruin movies for you if you lived in that place. But I don't know. I like it.
Well, there's always the same. It's like almost always the same when it comes to like the gritty nightclub in Chicago. And it's always like the Six Corners in Wicker Park, like where the double door is. And it's like, that is Hipsterville, USA.
Yeah.
Like, becoming very yuppie. Also.
Yeah, super yuppie. Like, yeah, you can buy Aldo shoes and Chrome bags, right? Like they're like right next to an Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
And
like,
a Doc Martens.
And a Doc Marten. You know you're in a really yuppie neighborhood when there is just a Doc Marten store that can afford more than like a family, you know what I mean? Like a family.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I go to the movies a lot, and so being able to pick up on those things is like kind of a fun skill that I've developed, which is why I like movies when I can't tell, when it's like not necessarily like a big CGI production, because that's easy to be like, look at, we're on the moon or whatever, or in Canada. But when it's like I'm thinking about, I went and saw The Lighthouse this last weekend. And
how was that?
It was so good. It was incredibly good. Yeah. It was good in a different way than The Witch is, but it was very, very good. Absolutely worth seeing in the theater. But I liked it because it's set on some random island off the coast of Nova Scotia. So it's just like the setting is like irrelevant almost, like, because it could be anywhere and it's not really anywhere. And I love stuff like that. That kind of weird, like, Stoppard-esque, like it's just in a room. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I saw Parasite this past.
Oh, I'm gonna go see that this week. Is it good?
Oh, it's so good.
Yes.
It is so freaking good. And especially because as an American viewing audience, what I'm expecting the twists and turns to be versus from the director's point of view and screener. It's so cool.
It's a Korean movie, right?
Yes, it's a Korean movie, and part of that is like it's set in Korea and like deals with like Korean like cultural norms and like social dynamics and like a lot of just like attitude. It's very good.
I'm really excited to see it. Yeah,
I don't know how to talk about it without.
Right.
I don't want to give anything away.
Well, good. I think knowing, it moved it up in the list. I was like, I might go see that, and now I'm like, well, I'll definitely go see it because I don't know anybody else who's seen it. This is the first person I've talked to. So
very good. If you liked, I think Snowpiercer was really beautifully shot and done. That's the same guy. Same thing as Okja, the Paul Dano, Stephen Yeun, and I can't remember the young woman's name. But
is that the one with the monster in it?
The like pig thing?
Oh, yeah.
Like the girl and her like invisible friend or whatever.
It's not it's not Swinton. Is it?
I think it is Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton, yeah.
Yeah. And the monster's not invisible. It's like a cow pig combination. It's like
I might be conflating it with another movie. Also, Katie, are you enjoying today's episode of Old Men Try to Remember Things?
Yeah, it's got this guy and that guy.
What's the name of that actor? Like literally, it's.
I will say I don't know if you watch Brian David Gilbert's Unraveled series. It's
Yes. Oh yes.
things on the internet, but
I've never heard of it.
It was like his latest video was like, I'm imagining a new genre for the Fallout series, genre of music for the Fallout series.
Oh yes, yeah.
And he went through, like this huge list of like the criterion and like what the new genre needed to be, and like the gag, spoiler alert, at the end of the video was he was like, wait, I just reinvented ska music. And then he just made a ska song, and I thought of you guys.
I thought of us. I saw that and I thought,
like
People
the
like
only
ska.
thing I'll think of when I think of ska is you
This show good. It just occurred to me that we were definitely doing that thing where we were like, it's a thing, with the guy in it. What's his name? He was in that movie. he's married to Janet's sister. And as soon as it occurred to me that we were doing that, I looked over at Katie and you were making this very like, I'm just being polite. I'm waiting for them to finish face. It was very nice. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I've honed it over the 27 episodes we've been here for.
Yep, Katie and her three grandpas. Well,
That's the one shot today.
we didn't get around to remembering the name of that one actor, but that's okay. I'm sure he was very good in that film we can't remember. I did watch last night. I watched Dolomite Is My Name, that Netflix.
How's that?
The sets and the costumes are just like amazing, like just so good and like layered and like interesting. And it's cool because, and this is just like such typical modern like marketing, but so it's a Netflix movie, right? And another Netflix series, Abstract, which is a show I really like. It's a show about design. Every episode they have a different designer. Their third episode, and this came out like 2 weeks ago this season, their third episode of it is the costume designer who did Dolomite Is My Name. And so I watched the episode of Abstract and I was like, oh, the costume design in whatever movie they're talking about is really cool. And then I was like, oh, it's a Netflix. I can just go watch. They got me and it worked. and I watched it and I was like, wow, the costumes in this are really good. She's amazing. So that'll be the thing I remember it for because of the reinforcing of that episode. But yeah, it's worth a watch if you like anything set in the 70s, or you like any of the many extremely talented actors in it. But yeah, it was definitely good.
Is John Witherspoon in that film? He just passed away, and
he
so
did.
I
don't think so. Not in like a leading role, at least.
Cool.
But it's Eddie Murphy as like the main dude. It's funny, Snoop Dogg is in it, and he's actually I forget he's actually like a pretty decent actor. Like I was like, oh, Snoop is in it, and I've seen interviews with him. It's funny because he acts way more lucid than he is when he's in interviews. In interviews, he's just like he's what you expect. He's Snoop Dogg, but then when he acts, he's like a completely different person. It was quite surprising, but he's really good. Yeah, definitely worth a watch. I enjoyed it a lot. And that's Film Club. Thanks for coming. I honestly I'll just talk about movies forever. So we should just
Film Club.
Yeah.
we've got 6 more pre-show minutes, and Katie is doing just fine.
Does anyone see Jojo Rabbit? I'm thinking about going to see that this weekend.
It's coming. It only came out here today, but I've heard really, really good things about it. Yeah.
Katie, where are you gonna go see it?
What?
Where are you gonna go see it?
I don't know. Usually I go see things after work, which is up in Evanston, but I think I'm gonna go this weekend. Maybe.
I saw an advertisement for it, and it was like one of those that has like the critics are saying type thing, and I love those because I think they're a good sign of like how the movie is if you read who the critics are and where the compliments are coming from. And it's really bad when I don't notice like when the first two are the same guy. It's bad. So like I got really scared when I saw that. So hopefully it's really good.
It's really good. Carlos Luna, the internet. No, seriously, guys, it's totally great. Carlos Luna, the internet.
The internet. Exactly.
Are you going to go see it? You better do it. Carlos Luna, the internet. Yeah, that's true. I think the studios don't really know how to advertise it, because I've seen a bunch of the trailers, and some of them are cut like it's kind of like a funny, like quirky drama, and others are like it's I'm seeing it getting advertised the same way you would have seen ads for like Bottle Rocket or like Rushmore. Like it's quirky and like kind of like twee in this like uncomfortable way. But I've also seen trailers that are cut completely different. Like I think they just don't know how to advertise this film.
I remember the first trailer being like, oh, this is a young boy, and now it's the boy in the blue striped pajamas. Like, you're like, oh, okay. And then now it's like, woohoo, like it's just jumping in the air and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think the marketing team for that film or the studio just doesn't know what to say about it. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of trailers in general, and I kind of love watching them evolve as the marketing team is like, we gotta change it. Like there's this movie, and I can't remember the name of it because it looked garbage no matter how many trailers they recut for it, but it was about like, it was set in like prehistory, like everybody was like cave people or whatever, and it was about this kid who befriends a wolf, and I think it was called something stupid like Alpha or something. And the first trailer for it was like a gritty kind of action movie. And they were like, it's dangerous out here in the prehistory of man. And like this one kid who gets cast out has to make friends with a wolf to survive. And it's all gritty. And it looked terrible. And then 3 weeks later, they put out another trailer that's like, a boy and his dog, they're the best friends anyone can be. It's prehistory, but like, here's a totally, and it was like a completely different movie cut from the same like stuff. And the trailer was just like cheerful and like, a boy and his dog can accomplish anything, including fighting a velociraptor or whatever, you know, like it was so weird how different it is. And it reminded me that like trailers and promo for movies often have nothing to do with the people that made them. Like a trailer house is just given the movie and it's like, I don't know, make it look like a family comedy. Go.
Yeah, it's a market. It's like it's becoming this like own thing now. Like they get their own awards now. Yeah. They have their own small like award ceremony because it is like they get the movie and they have to cut the trailer as like marketing. Like how can we tell more? How can we tell less? Like using it. And if you compare trailers from like even the 80s, like or early 90s, like they're so bad. Yes. It's like I put them together. It was just like, okay, what do we got here?
Like, so many trailers just give the plot away.
Oh, now they do. Now it's the full movie. Yeah,
it's just the full movie. Or if it's like a comedy like film, all of the best jokes are just gone in the trailer. And like, I don't know.
My favorite thing is when something is in the trailer, and I know this annoys a lot of people, when something is in the trailer but not in the final movie. There's a joke or a beat or like an alt take of a thing. You're like, wait a second, this is like that thing from the trailer, but it's different. Because sometimes there'll be lines from trailers that just get beat into the ground. And when you hear it, I always find it funny when I've heard a line, like a joke in a trailer, you know, a half dozen times. And then I'm sitting in the theater for the movie and the joke is made and a bunch of people laugh. And I'm like, did you not watch the trailer? Is this a new joke to you?
Did you not know what movie you were going to?
It's weird for me. We're like, yeah. Okay.
Although so this happened to me once. My buddy got like tickets to a movie that hadn't come out. It was like coming out in a couple of weeks. I had never heard of it. He's like, hey, you want to go see this movie? I was like, okay. And we show up late. I know nothing about the movie at all. We sit down and it's obviously a horror movie. And I'm like, oh, great. It's a horror movie. And we're in the front row and I'm in the worst mood possible. Like this place is totally packed. Like it's a free movie, but it was free movie. Like I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it in the front row. And like, I don't want to, I just signed away 2 hours of my life, basically, to a front row. It was the best experience, best movie experience I have ever had my entire life. Oh my God, it was for fun. Cabin in the Woods. Yes. So I had no idea what was happening, awesome. What was going on at all. I was on the south side of Chicago. The entire audience was going crazy. They were like throwing stuff. At one point I stood up and I threw stuff at the screen. It was insane. It was like, this is how people need to watch movies now and forever. Like, just know nothing about the movie and go in it with a bunch of people that they're in the same exact spot. Zero expectations.
I had that.
Go watch Parasite.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I had a similar experience going to see a movie that I didn't know anything about, and nobody else in the theater did, and the movie did a pretty good job of the first like 20 minutes making it seem like a pretty standard like horror movie. And then the rest of the movie was The Ring. And I was like, cool, well, I guess I'm never going to sleep again. That's fine.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. I wish it happened more often.
Well, I think that's the thing is the trailer maker's art is like creating a trailer that will entice people to come see the movie and give them enough information that they'll want to, but leave them open for surprises. Especially if the trailer actively tries to do that. If they're like, we're going to try to mislead you a little, like we'll give you the general tone of the movie, but you're going to assume some stuff based on the way the trailer is cut that maybe isn't true. Like, I think it can reinforce and change like the way you view a movie if the trailers are smart, if they're cut well. I think that's really
Get
cool.
Out opening weekend in Chicago was pretty fucking radical.
Yeah.
That was like the last time experience. That was totally cool.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, but that's the last time that really happened. My friend told me that Jojo Rabbit is nothing like the trailers, though. That none of the plots in the trailers. So
that's good.
Well, we'll all go find out. We'll come back next week. We'll do an hour movie review podcast.
Yes.
Honestly, like in order of things that I know enough to talk about, it's role-playing games, photography, and then movies. So any of those things, I'm ready. There's a podcast just waiting to happen. So yeah. Well, cool. Let's play this role-playing game that we have all come here to play, shall we?
Yeah.
So have we assigned a note taker? Have we figured out who's gonna take up the? Yeah, you're gonna
the woman of the group.
What? I wanted to so badly, and Katie was like, "No, I can't do two things at once. Come on." Everyone knows that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like if you're in a scene, it can be hard to write notes for it so someone else can jump in. It's a document everyone has access to.
It's a document everyone has access to. Wow, I wonder.
So plus, we're shy Tack, because upon hearing the grim news that there's about to be a Azorius versus Golgari action, there's going to be some business coming up. Ahead of that, Tack slipped away into the Golgari underground to warn their mom and ostensibly friends, leaving the three of you to carry on the mission, which is to say we need to get rid of this ironclad fellow. Now, Winnegar, you are in the offices themselves, right? You have access by way of your disguise as Reese Winnegar Spoon. You have access to the halls, and like limited. You can't go into any of the top secret areas, but no one really notices you're here. You have some time to infiltrate. And then Torgor and Rode, you've had an opportunity to kind of case the joint from the outside. You've seen his house. And so we've got this like relatively good net of, and I guess the idea is you're putting together kind of a timetable for where he is when. Is that what's going on? Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, you
good at our job.
Yeah, you have a good idea of because of Torgor and Rode, your surveillance. You don't know necessarily where he goes, like you don't have access to. And if you could get a hold of, and I know that this is a big proposition. We had a brief kind of conversation about this before we started, but what a great time to need to assassinate someone when the sneakiest member of the party is not around to do the deed. Which means, as happens so often to monks, someone's missing, guess who you are now? Don't have a fighter? I guess the monk will do it. Don't have a rogue? Monk, your stealth skills okay?
I'm a great tank. Anyone?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, you do, however, have one of the more overpowered magical abilities in the game, which is to say pass without trace. So stealth maybe won't be as much of an issue as it could be, which is good. Having that shadow monk ninja stuff going on is pretty good for you. So here's the thing. You can tell based on what you've learned, you can tell when he's coming and going, right? Zlatek Ironclad is a diligent member of the Azorius Senate during a time at which the Azorius Senate is making leaps and bounds to improve the security and safety of the people of Ravnica. So he is a busy man. He leaves his house early in the morning and he comes home late at night. He is usually, if not always, accompanied by an assistant or two and a cloud of lesser legal entities that follow him around looking for signatures on paperwork, approval on protocols, and what have you. So he's coming and going at regular times. But as for where he goes, I don't think we've put a tail on him yet. You've cased the joint, right? You've seen his place of work and his home, but we haven't put a tail on him to see where he's going just yet. So yeah, you've got at least some idea of when he's going. It looks like he's still staying at his house while they're renovating it, because they're just building a new wing. And then as far as his work goes, I think Winnegar, you still have some opportunity to explore or infiltrate from there. So why don't we start with that? Why don't we start with Winnegar in the halls of the Precinct 1 Azorius building? And I think the last time we saw you were being accompanied into the copyright archives. I think that was the last you had accidentally or intentionally gotten the attention of a copyright lawyer who was very excited to show you some patents. Have you ditched that guy, or are you still caught up in the patent office with this fellow?
I want to go someplace that is secluded.
Okay.
From this dude.
And okay, and so you want to do? I was gonna say, do you want to go there with this guy? Is to say lure him somewhere? Okay, well that's easy. Yeah. I mean, he's already done that for you. So I think when we fade in, it's in the seemingly abandoned halls of card catalog, right? So we see, and because it's magic, it's Ravnica, it's high fantasy, we can make it a little overblown. So they go like as far up as you can see, these massive shelves of like little card catalogs. They all, the ones like you used to have in libraries. You pull them out and they have like the cards on them with the numbers showing where all the records are.
The Dewey Decimal System.
That's right. And so you see this like massive archive of files for who owns the patents to what. I mean, Winnegar, as a member of the Is It League, filing patents is an important part of your job, right? It's something that you have, how to correctly file one of these patents. You wouldn't want somebody else stealing your invention. So you're in here, you're with this guy, and it is seemingly either so labyrinthine that you could just wander around and never encounter another person, or it's totally abandoned because nobody around here cares about this except this one guy who's in the middle of talking your ear off about some hyper complicated patent case that he has just he's basically bragging to you in a way that you may or may not understand. So that's where you're at. You're walking behind this guy and you can hear the sound of his voice and next to nothing else.
Jesus. Okay. Okay. We are in like a secluded-ish area. Mm-hmm. What exactly is he talking about? Basically, I want to try to turn the conversation to talk about this. He basically said he's babysitting, right? Families, or
somebody else mentioned that, but he knows a little bit about what's going on, right? Like there was that mention of Azorius arresters being assigned to important members of the Senate. So instead of being out on the streets, busting gruel, slash and burn squads, they now are providing security for important members of the guild, which is debatable in terms of The Azoria Senate isn't a publicly funded police force, technically, but their mandate is to keep law and order in Ravnica, not bodyguard important members of their own guild, but also like they're a guild, so of course they're taking care of their own. But this guy is not talking about that. This guy, when we fade in, is like, and then, can you believe it? The guy hands me a W6B, and I'm like, what is this, a W6B? And he looks at me like he's never seen a W6C form before. And I'm like, the C is ivory. This is clearly off-white. And then he looks at you like, right? Like, this guy's a real moron.
Colors. Yeah, I totally get it. Wow.
And so he stops, and you're like, I get it. Wow. And he puts a hand up on the wall and like leans on it. And he says, you know, you're different than all these other airheads I see around here. They're just, you know, trying to climb the ladder. But I can tell you really care about the law, you know?
Oh, yeah. I definitely care about. Oh, hold on. I'm supposed to be doing Reese Witherspoon.
Channel it.
I gotta find Reese. It's just like Legally Blonde. Okay. Okay. It's always on the up. Yeah. I mean, I've always cared about, you know, what was he do?
I've always cared about whatever horse shit you've been talking about for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's like, just like when I was working with Ironclad, oh man, the copywriters that he had working for him, amazing work. I mean, all the work that Ironclad was doing is just amazing. Don't you agree?
And so he squints at you as if like you don't understand. This isn't how you flirt with someone. You're not supposed to talk about somebody else. Like, so he makes his face and he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess Ironclad's a big deal, but you know, that's not really my division. I work with ideas. You know, it's not so much the application of the law that matters, but the way that the law can make order out of chaos. You know, we can take the pure energy of the human mind and funnel it for the good of everyone. And he like tap, like hits the shelves, like as if copyright law is like somehow improving the lives of the people of Ravnica.
God, I need to put this guy out of his misery. Or put myself out of my own misery. Okay. So yeah, this guy does not care about anything other than that.
I mean, he cares about a couple of things. Copyright law is one of them. Yeah,
I want to ask him, like, so when you're not saving the world with copyright law,
oh my God.
Like, what do you like to do in your spare time? Like, what are you doing later on tonight? Like, I want to figure out what this guy does too, I guess. Like, if he's actually involved in this.
Jump forward 10 years. This guy and Winnegar are married. They got 3 kids.
Stop picking up Ironclad. You're at marital counseling. If you would just stop bringing up Ironclad.
Well, I just mean.
Yeah, that's their one marital problem, is that he'll never forget that you know, he secretly thinks you're in love with his former colleague. Yeah. So he, you ask him, what do you do when you're not here? You know, improving the lives of the people of Ravnica by making sure that their patents are filed correctly. And he says, well, I'll have you know, I'm something of an inventor myself. You can't spend all this time surrounded by brilliant ideas without it sparking the fires of creativity in the old noodle. So, you know, I've got a lab in my garage where you know, I perform my experiments. I've been really making some progress in the field of garment science.
Winnegar has no. Winnegar's interest peaked up, and then he heard garment science, and he's like, "What the hell?"
I mean, the Izzet League experimental underwear division is very popular right now. So
very private.
It is. It's a secret division, and it's very, very popular internally. But yeah, I mean, this guy, he probably has a sewing machine and like a drafting table jammed in the garage somewhere next to a bunch of old paint cans.
Okay, he's not on the up and up.
No.
Okay, so I want to make a date with him for later on tonight. So basically, I want to be like, oh, maybe I can stop by later on tonight, and you can show me some of your garments.
Yeah. So he gives like he smiles. He gives you kind of like the up and down, and he says, "I have a couple of things that I think would look fantastic on you. What are you, a size 2?
I slap him.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. So the halls of the patent office echo with the resounding sound of palm meeting face, and he like staggers back. Do you follow up on your slap with a?
Yeah. I'm
okay.
just like, I don't know what you think this is, but we are not at a place where you could start talking about my clothing size of my underwear. Oh.
He puts his hands up and he's like, I'm sorry, I thought that you
oh, you're just one of those slick copyright guys, huh?
No, I know you must have heard things about what we do in the patent division, but I swear I'm a nice guy. I'm different than those other patent law.
Why don't nice guys ever finish first?
Right. Cut to this guy's peers all wearing sunglasses and smoking cigarettes in the alley. And then, a lawyer walks by and they all glare at him like death glare over the sunglasses, and their friend is like, no, don't look at them. That's the patent division. So cut back to the one good guy in the patent division, and he's like, I'm sorry, I just okay. I will, you know what? I'll go up to HR. I will find the interbureau office romance start file. I will fill out that paperwork for you, and I'll have it sent to your desk. What division are you in?
Whoa. Listen. Wants to start.
I mean, you have to file this paperwork well in advance. Normally, you have to file it 4 weeks before the intention to begin romance. But there's an emergency adjunct for this form that you can apply for, and it's, yeah.
You are jumping the gun, buddy. And then I want to be like, listen, let's just start from scratch. How about we have a drink at your place tonight?
And he's like, I don't know if we can start from scratch without getting a flirtation annulment form and co-signing that first. And I think that's on the 3rd floor.
Oh my God.
So
is this guy just asking for me to kill him?
In my head, I was like, kids, freak him out. Make him break the rules.
Right. And so this is the dangerous thing about flirting with a member of the Azoria Senate. It's either going to be like, oh my, naughty, we're breaking the rules, or they like, oh my God, how dare you touch me without a permission to touch me form. Like there are legal protocols for romance in the Azoria Senate, and he assumes that you want to follow them. But you could, I mean, it's a gamble on whether this guy would be into
I want to try to persuade him that we don't need that, and we should go back to his place tonight. I
like you're playing him hot and cold, like back and forth within a matter of a few seconds.
Well, that's how it works.
Yeah. So you slap him in the face, and you're like, you're being too presumptuous. Let's go to your place. No, don't bring the forms. Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Couple of 2s.
Oh my God.
Couple of hot 2s on there. Okay, so when you so what is the moment leading up to the roll? What does that look like? What do you say?
I think it's basically like, man, I always sucked at improv scenes where I had to flirt, and like
I mean, so calling this flirting is a really loose.
Yeah. So basically, Winnegar is trying to find out where this guy lives, so he can take his identity, because he imagines he can go back and forth to the building just as him. And also he said he has a lab. So like Winnegar is like, oh, maybe he does have a lab. Like I could have my own lab now. We could have our own home base. And like
smash cut to 10 years later.
Well, and here's the thing. Fine. Okay. So Winninger, you get rid of him and become him, and you go home and you meet his wife and his kids, and suddenly they're your wife and kids now, and you can't abandon them. So.
Oh, you think is he married? Can I look for like a ring on his hand or something?
I don't think. Now here we go. We get to try to we have to try to figure out what like monogamy looks like in Ravnica, because
marriage.
Because I don't know. They wouldn't have like a gold ring, though, because of the way the show works. That kind of anachronism would make total sense because we've had other silly human things in it. But I also don't know that that's like. You would get marriage legally would be covered by the Azoria Senate because they deal with all of the laws. But then I'm sure that each guild would have its own, like a Rakdos marriage contract or whatever would be very different than, and then like inter-guild marriages and like, it'd be a whole thing.
Based on how this guy's acting, I don't think he would be cheating on his wife. Cheating is
you can make
the same thing as
you can make an insight check.
Yeah, let me do an insight check. 12.
Yeah, an Orzhov wedding would be like till death do us part, and then after, like I get your soul afterwards. So make an insight check on this dude, and then I'll let you know what you figure out.
Another one? I just made.
Oh, what did you get?
12.
Okay, it just hasn't come up for me yet. Okay, so with a 12, I mean he is definitely flirting with you. But he has the effect, and I guess I'm going to take shot at parents here, but he has the like soul crushed effect of like a recent new parent. Like he looks exhausted, and maybe he's got some like baby food on his uniform that he hasn't noticed. Like, yeah, he's got that kind of like new dad, I wish I could be asleep vibe to him. But also this guy does seem like the kind of guy who would form or he'd fill out the intent to perform adultery form. Like he's probably got it in his desk pre-filled. He just needs the name of the person he's going to commit adultery with so that he can be like, hold on. I got to run back to my desk and file some paperwork. Writes your name in and then throws it in the box.
It's like the old condom in the wallet.
Exactly.
It's all like a
one
little
day. One day he's going to use that form, but he hasn't had the opportunity yet. So yeah, he probably has the,
Okay. So I want to be like, basically convince him to stay here for a minute. I'll be right back. I need to go run to my desk because they're probably worried about where I am right now.
Okay.
So I basically want to tell him that and just like take off real quick.
Okay. Sure. He says, don't worry about me. Plenty of exciting things to look at around here. And you get the impression that he means it. And he says, but don't take too long. And he kind of gives you an awkward wink.
I won't.
You're going to come back and he's going to be completely naked. It's going to be awkward.
But the problem is you're going to leave. He's going to get naked right away and spend the next 45 minutes being like, is she coming back? Or like, am I? Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I'm just going to cut and run and go back to the break room and pick up more stuff. Do some more
like surveillance.
Sleuthing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sure. So I think if you leave the patent guy down in the patent office and go upstairs to like look around, is there anything in particular you're looking for? Because I think like at this point, as long as you walk around looking like you have somewhere to go and you don't go anywhere that's clearly marked as off limits, you have free reign of the place.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to track down the other guys that were in the break room on that floor. See if they're around or if I could see them in their office. And I'm gonna take notes of like the floor plan and where everyone is and try to branch off from what I know, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Make an investigation check while you scope out the place. Not bad. You got 17? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, with the 17, I mean, ask me things that you want to know. And I will give you 17's worth of answers.
God, I really want to know where Ironclad walks around where his office is and where his like roots are, basically.
Mhm.
You know, like there's like, it's a big building, but you always go up this elevator,
Yeah.
you go left down the hall, you go to your office, and then sometimes you go to the conference room and then some other place and then down a different elevator or whatever. Like, I want to know that path.
Yeah, so you're going to try to fill in the once he arrives here, what does he do thing. Now, unfortunately, you've only got an hour for your disguise self spell, right? Now, how many times, theoretically, you could recast it, right? How many times can you do that?
Yeah, so I got 2 more.
Okay, so you have 2 in like a half hours.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, we'll keep that in mind. I think probably like it's easy to find his office. Is he important enough to have a whole floor for his like division? I think he'd like to be, but he isn't. So he has like a corner office. He's a big office, probably with its own, like you go in, it's like the office of Zlatek Ironclad. It's got the gold foil on the door. You go in, and you don't have to go in to see this, right? But you would go in and there would be like a waiting room with like a leather couch and a desk with his secretary, and his secretary would like deal with people coming in, and then he's got his own sort of proper office, right? And so it would be 2 kind of a big room with a front waiting room attached to it. That would be his own kind of area. And from outside, you can kind of scope inside and see the furniture of that space. But you haven't seen into his actual office unless you want to kind of escalate the investigation to try to get in there. And as far as you can tell without talking to the secretary in that 2.5 hours, he's in there, or his secretary is making it look like he's in there because people keep coming in and asking, asking to see him or looking to make meetings, but no one actually does. In the 2 hours that you watch, nobody comes in and stays long enough to have a meeting. They come in, they drop things off, they leave. They come in, they talk to the secretary, they take things away. But you don't see anybody go in for a meeting with Ironclad, which is maybe unusual.
Ooh, that is unusual.
Yeah. So either his secretary is covering for him, or he is here, but he's just very, very busy.
Gotcha. Okay, are there any ornithopters on this floor? Any floating around?
I think probably, and I guess this is the weird thing with these ornithopters, because they're still a bit like sensitive in terms of their deployment. I think that this is an ornithopter free zone, that the Azorius want to be able to surveil everyone else, but they haven't put these things inside their own facilities yet. So yeah, no, I don't think you'd see any of them anywhere.
Gotcha.
Which makes your job of skulking around in here somewhat easier. But it also means that it looks like Dovin Ban and his intelligence apparatus doesn't have an interior view of this place.
What are the offices on the left and right if he's on a corner?
Probably other like senators of slightly less like significant. And I think we talked about Ironclad being involved in like criminal prosecution. Like I think it's his job to put people in jail. And so he has other like lesser lawyers, other like sub senators that work for him or adjacent to him, and it would be their offices. So the hierarchy kind of deconstructs. He's the main dude on this floor, and everyone else kind of works in the same division as him, the same column, doing the same work. But he just handles more important stuff. Cool.
I'm going to head out before my disguised self burns out. And I can make it out of the building alive. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's no problem. Okay. All right. So you finish this brief surveillance, and then you head out, and then you find a shadowy alley in which to doff your disguise and return to your original form. Now, meanwhile, not too far away in Precinct 1, Torgor and Rode have been in the guise of a Selesnian and a guildless piece of trash, I guess. The two of you have been scoping out the house. So you saw Ironclad leave. You know that his wife and his kid they stay at home during the day, and you watch. I think you watch a couple of times the the lady of the house receive not visitors but like vendors, right? Someone will deliver something for the wing, right? So they'll show up and be like, we have those tiles you ordered, ma'am, or a designer. I think you watch her, you see her take a meeting with her like interior decorator. But yeah, so the house is her, the kid, and some servants, and then the occasional like visitor. And normally those visitors are related to the project of adding this wing to the house. So you see Zlatek leave, usually when he comes home, it's quite late. What else do the two you want to do? What other information do you want to obtain while you're here?
I would love to maybe spend some time tailing the coach, like at least, yeah, to the edge of Precinct 1, just to see like what routes does it take into the neighborhood, and like what are his pathway to his house when he's nearby.
Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be tricky because while a lot of the more congested streets of Ravnica are slow enough that you could follow a wheeled vehicle, there are like byways that connect to the precincts that you would need a vehicle to be able to follow in. Because it goes too fast.
Right.
Yeah.
We own a car. We just haven't talked about it
Yeah.
So as far as how humans get around, how entities in Ravnica get around, most people walk and use the train system, right? Having personal transport, like a personal vehicle of some kind, is a sign of like some amount of luxury and being well off, right? Having a vehicle. Those vehicles tend to be mostly animal drawn, like carriages or things like that. And they can vary as much as like a Baroque kind of thrall pulled Orzhov goth wagon, or like a two-wheeled cart being pulled by a slow crunch, right? Usually it's that. There are some more experimental or unusual vehicles. Many of the guilds, like the Izzet or whatever, have Mizium-powered wagons, but those things are much, much too fast for the kind of terrain that Ravnica provides, and also dangerous and experimental.
I want to just do like a Mizium racing campaign. Wait, like
yeah. You mean like Fast and the Furious Ravnica Drift?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Crap this. What are we doing?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so
is totally Vin Diesel. Like, let's just make the switch.
I am completely open to the idea that after we deal with the Ironclad arc, once he's dead, having some kind of arc built around an underground racing circuit on Ravnica. That is like completely a thing we can do.
Like guild lives, just be like fucking sick. Is it race? Like,
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. The next mission from the conspiracy can be to infiltrate an underground street racing gang, and I'll find some way to loosely connect it to Jace Beleren. Sure.
Yes, thank you, Adam. You're doing God's work.
Listen, a big part of the Dungeon Master's job is listen to what your players want and find a way to poison it. So you have daydreams about going on cool racing adventures. If you want to follow him all the way to where he's going, you are going to need to obtain some wheels.
Yeah. I think I would just go for it.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, if we can get anyone to steal a car, it's probably Winnegar, right?
Mm-hmm. That'd
Like,
make the most sense.
Would be the one who would be best at stealing a car.
He would have access to probably some garages in the Izzet League.
Yeah. Those fucking nerds. He'll be fine.
I mean, I could get us like a horrific ram, like that's like half zombie and like probably missing one antler, and we could just like ride that.
Yeah, the Rakdos vehicles are really more mobile torture platforms. So yeah.
might be a little conspicuous, but that's fine.
I don't want to hurt your feelings, Torgor, but I'm not sure your guild connections are great right now. It's okay, bud. It's all right.
Why? I for a moment I forgot, and just for a brief.
That was a very Minotaur sentence. I could just imagine your enormous nostrils flaring at the end of that statement.
We'll go find the host in the shell. Winnegar will meet us there, and then we'll talk to Winnegar about stealing some sort of
how fast do you think Dewdrop can get up to? Like really? Like if we jettisoned the cafe and just like.
I'm not going to raise Dewdrop.
No, this is all hypothetical, Road. I'm just saying.
What's
what do you
the
think?
Top speed of an enormous tortoise?
Yes.
I think I can answer that for you.
You know, we'll pull out the seats. We'll make her as light as we can.
Rockets.
Yeah. Put some Nizium powered nitrous on her. And really, we'll take her. We'll drift around that bend real fast.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm in. You don't have to.
Let's see. I've got my calculator here. Let's see. Okay, so 20 feet times, so it's 6 seconds, so times 10, so 200 feet in a minute times another 60 minutes for an hour, 1,200 feet an hour.
Carry the floor.
How many feet are there in a mile?
That's like 5,000 something. So it's like a little over 2 miles per hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say how many feet? Yeah, how many feet are there in the mile? Because I can figure it out. I just don't know. 5,280. Okay, thank you, Ex Machina. So yes, so
thank you.
The cruising speed of your host in the shell is 2.27 miles per hour. Maybe if you really push it, really push it, you could get it up to like 6 miles an hour. Just like really giving her.
You know what they say, slow and steady.
Yeah, it's a giant turtle, so if you put a cabbage on a string and sit on the top of its head and just hold that cabbage in front of it.
Idiots.
In today's episode, the gang is forced to enroll their giant turtle in a drift race. Yep.
Sorry, I'm particularly tickled by this. I love the image. I love it a lot.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to Dewdrop. Dewdrop will tell us about his fast racing friend. And then we'll just go from there.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we'll diagonal wipe to you're all back in the, well, not all of you. Tax at mysterious absence, but that happens. You're back in the karaoke room of the host in the shell. You can hear through the wall somebody singing badly. And the place it's been in Precinct 6 long enough that people are like remembering that it is here, and so business is pretty good. You come in, and when you had to come in, you walk through the dining room. All the tables are full. Nice wave from Gary, and everything's real busy in here. And and so we come back in on the three of you in the karaoke room that you use for your secret meetings.
Where's Tack? I thought that you two were investigating together.
Tack was mean. And I don't know. Tack just did a Tack thing and like stormed off.
That
all right.
Does sound like Tack.
Yeah, that tracks. Okay.
Yeah.
Not that
why did you sigh? Yeah, why did you sigh like that?
I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong.
I mean, but you know, now we think you did. Like
Torgor, do you want to make?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Torgor, do you want to make an insight check?
I would love
Winnegar
to.
Here, Winnegar, are you actively trying to hide your feelings from Torgor?
Yeah. So like, I think.
Damn it.
Well, I honestly don't think Winnegar did anything wrong, but to Winnegar, like putting his own feelings first, like feel like he did something wrong. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess
when you're not used to it, standing up for yourself can make you feel like a real jerk.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay because Torgor only got a 4 on the insight check, so Torgor doesn't have any idea what you're thinking or feeling.
Just maybe, right? Maybe have a parfait, bud. You probably got some low blood sugar.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. How's it going on your end, partner?
Pretty good, bud. Just take a seat. Rode and I found. Well, Rode, do you want to tell him?
Oh, it was a pretty classic casing situation. They're renovating a portion of their house. Mostly people renovating come in to meet the wife. Ironclad doesn't get home until super late. Normal stuff like that. What did you notice any abnormal activity while you were stationed?
Oh, I tell you. And I'm going to tell him all about the copyright stuff that the copyright guy told me about.
Yeah, like, here's what I learned.
This is so interesting. Also, here is the layout of Ironclad's office, neighboring offices, his secretary, people that work in the office, just stuff like that.
You could have just led with this. Like, honestly.
It was a 20-minute copyright lecture, like listening to Cory Doctorow explain something to you.
Okay,
and then it's
good.
Like, and now you understand. Oh, also.
Yeah, see, I didn't find it interesting either, but I thought that was me. So I was just testing it on you guys.
Turns out it's not very interesting.
I mentioned the fact that about like the story about Gary. Mainly because I want Winnegar to have an idea of like potential disguises. Also, like the vendors that have interacted with the lady of the house.
Yeah.
And mention the fact that the most we've ever have seen of Ironclad has been of him getting in and out of his car, his like wagon.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I didn't even see him. I mean, it kind of looked like he was in the office doing the office-y thing, but he wasn't actually. I don't know if he was actually there. I never seen him.
I'm just imagining. I'm just imagining inside his office. There's a bunch of cardboard cutouts, and like Kevin McAllister is pulling some strings, and you're rocking around the Christmas tree playing in the background.
Rocking around the Christmas tree.
There were definitely people there. The lights kept coming on and off. You ordered a pizza and shot at me with a Tommy gun.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how that stuff went down. Okay. Maybe we should. So what are you guys thinking? You guys thinking the wagon? Wagon's the place?
Yeah, it's not the Azorius headquarters, that's for sure. Unless it's just you, the one person who can disguise themselves, and you would feel capable taking a man's life on your own, which is you do.
Taking a man's life on my own. No.
Okay.
I don't feel good about that.
Cut to after the murder, Torgor stick and poking a tear next to Winnegar's eye.
I couldn't even find a good time to like leave a guy at like the library.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could.
For that woman whose life you've just thrown a weird man on.
Yeah, were you Winnegar? Were you impersonating a specific person, or did you just? Yes. Yeah, it was a person. Yeah,
I was. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
I don't know. Maybe it's a meet cute waiting to. I didn't do it on purpose, guys. I should have warned her. You think I should kill her? You think
I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer.
Maybe, okay.
Maybe him.
Chance to when we're on our mission, and just killing him is an option. I think it's something that we can consider.
Yeah. Put him on the collateral damage list.
No, here's the thing. I got it. You said he probably looked like a new dad. Go kill his kid because you like doing that so much.
I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that so much.
We know this about you, Winnegar. We know you love killing kids. and then him and his wife will reconcile over the loss, and you will be a hero.
What?
So yeah.
No, I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to kill anyone, except Ironclad. That's
no.
Ironclad.
Okay.
No babies.
Yourself. So are you okay? All right. I'm glad we learned Winnegar's stance on killing before we continued.
Right. Why? I could have sworn you just spent so much time talking about killing kids.
I thought
right.
Guys, I've never mentioned that at all. Not even once.
Honestly, tack disappearing tracks. This doesn't track.
Really? Children killing? Guys, there's a lot of stuff I'm interested in. This isn't one of them.
This is what happens when you roll a 4 on your insight check.
It took us like an hour this morning to convince you not to kill Ironclad's kid.
That didn't happen, guys. That didn't. I remember this morning very clearly. Yogurt, and I said, "Oh, I wish there was the type of yogurt that came with the fruit on the top, which you just move around." But instead, it was the yogurt with the stuff on the bottom. And then you said, "Shut up." And then we're here, and I didn't mention killing anyone at all.
Somewhere nearby, a gaslight flickers ominously.
All right, fine. So if we're not okay, you know what? We'll back off the child killing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Surely because we need to be professionals who focus on business.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Business. So what are you guys thinking? What's the plan? Can we do it in a really cool way, or do you want to do it in like a sneaky way?
I would love to sabotage the cart, because I think if we could somehow get that to either break down or ideally explode,
Whenever.
that would.
I said Torgor is saying the "is it magic word" explode.
Okay. I like that. So we explode him on the inside, and then we blow up. We get a bomb inside him, and then we blow up his wagon. Just as like.
Stop. Do you have a way to put a bomb inside someone?
Oh no! But it seems like a great invention to have.
Road. Torgor will have a way to get the bomb inside of him. If you need the bomb first.
I feel like any method that Torgor has to put a bomb inside someone, they're gonna be dead anyway. So the bomb is kind of pointless. Like Torgor's like, I will just use this knife to cut him open and jam a bomb in there. Then he'll bleed to death. Then why do we need the bomb exactly?
This bag of flesh will hold the bomb.
That's right. It'll get rid of the evidence. So yeah, I mean, you could try to blow up his carriage. You know, at least, I mean, it comes to pick him up at his house. You don't know where it comes from before that, because it doesn't live. It's not his car. It's an Azorius like vehicle, Uber. Basically. Yeah, like a limo or whatever. So it comes to get him, and it takes him wherever he needs to go.
So then we need to get close to it. Wait, who drives it?
Oh yeah, who drives it?
Yeah.
Is there a company?
We have to find out.
You don't know.
We also need to find out if we can just, one of us could be the driver, that'd be so easy to just set the bomb and.
Oh yeah, all three of us could be the driver.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
Nothing says totally normal like 3 people trying to drive one car.
No, guys.
One steering wheel, 2 pedals. Okay, this is gonna work. There's 3.
No, we're all stacked on top of one another with a giant trench coat. That's the only way.
True too.
That's the only way it works.
I call middle.
You're not my chauffeur. You're 3 PCs in a trench coat.
Rats.
Scatter. Go on, legs.
Damn.
Okay, so well, how many vehicle companies can there be? Right?
So
can't be a lot.
So I will say this, like Torgor and Road, from your investigation, the wagon appears to belong to the Azorius. There wouldn't necessarily be like the Is It probably have like vehicles for hire. If anybody runs taxis in Ravnica, it would be the Is It League. But God, I'm just thinking about there's got to be some kind of like Is It equivalent of Elon Musk, like some guy with his head up his ass trying to invent like autopiloting.
That was who Vinegar met. I thought that I thought it was Is It Elon Musk.
Yeah. Totally. So there's totally that guy. But most people use the trains to get around. But each individual guild for their VIPs would probably have some way of getting them around. So this would be an Azorius thing. So it probably comes from like a garage somewhere with a bunch of these vehicles, probably in Precinct 2, because that's like Azorius HQ.
I say we, from the rooftops, try to track its route as best we can.
Yeah, Winnegar, you own a car, right? You're Is It, so you.
Oh yeah.
I own a car.
Winnegar definitely does not own his own vehicle.
Could you get it?
Most people don't. Most people don't have access to their own. Like, there's
It's like the last thing your mom left you before she died. You remember that car?
My mom's still alive.
some PCs go on their quest with their father's sword, handed down generation to generation. Winnegar has the keys to his mom's 1996 Honda Civic,
and it's just as good, guys. It's honestly
good.
It's a little boxier than the new models, but I mean, it still gets me where I need to go. Guys, I don't have a car. I mean, I just call a hoist whenever I need one.
Hoist. I love it. Well, that's the thing now.
Do you know? I saw something at one of the other Rakdos shows. It was from a sister service, and they'd got this Is It invention that looked like a two-wheeled cyclical machine, and a dicycle, if you will.
Okay.
Right, different from a monocycle.
Right, exactly. And they had put in this one, it had blades at the end, and it was running over other some monsters in a field. But
yeah, the abs. That's absolutely that's totally within reason. That like a thing that there would be Rakdos. Like, what's that? They do those like motorcycle shows where there's the big metal sphere and they ride around on the inside of it and stuff. That would totally be a Rakdos thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so, I'm wondering if there's an Is It counterpart that's less murder apparent.
Yeah,
it is design.
For a while I was
sorry I'm trying to find a new identity, and for a second Dicycle Cane sounded good, but maybe not. Keep going.
Oh no, for a long time I was just working on an invention that was very similar to that. It's like, okay, we would make all the roads out of rubber, and then there would be a vehicle with two stone God damn it. Wheels. But for whatever reason, it didn't work. Side note, that is in an episode of Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that it's reasonable to assume that, especially for the Simic, that most technology is like the Flintstones, where you wash your hands and then a pelican spits the water into a tank and looks at the camera like it's a living. I think that's definitely, there's a cartoonish level of weird technological replacement that happens in Ravnica when we're trying to replicate modern technology, because the guilds all have their own weird takes on stuff. Yeah, you don't currently have access to a vehicle, but this particular vehicle, the idea of infiltrating it or planting a bomb on it or something, that seems to be the closest to possible for right now.
I mean, we could always just wait in his home until he's asleep and then murder him. Because we know the construction wing is open, and we could just kind of slip in and just But I'll be honest, I would really love to have a dicycle of my own. I feel like that would be also very cool.
That's true. Make it so much easier to kill little kids. It'd make it so much easier.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here.
Oh, I did say that. It's so weird. I think maybe because you mentioned it, I mentioned it. I think that's all it is. I don't think
I really I don't want Winnegar to end up being the Ed Gein of Ravnica. Can we just, every time you're off screen, you're just fucking sharpening your knife and getting your clown costume ready?
Actually, Winnegar is short for John Wayne Gacy.
John Waynegar Gacy. Perfect. Good. That's fantastic.
Okay, so what do you guys think? We do it in the construction site, or we do it on the vehicle?
Now, a couple of quick considerations to take into account as well. So there's the whole yes, kill the dude. That is the thing. How are you going to do it without getting caught? How are you going to actually accomplish it? That's good to be thinking about. In addition, this will definitely be investigated. How are you going to hide it from like them figuring out it was you? Right. So that's either getting away with it is the second thing. And then making it stick. Right. Because in real life, if you blow up someone's car with them in it and they die, they're dead. But in Ravnica, the Orzhov have ways of bringing people's like ghost back to life or whatever. So that's another thing to consider, too, is like how to make it last.
Guys, what if we
disappearance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about this? We kill him in his house in that wing under construction, and then I disguise myself as him, get into his car, and take it to work so no one knows that he got killed in his house. And then he just doesn't leave that office. And that's the place that they go to.
You would have to get out. That's the only thing you would have to do.
You would have an hour to
I could
ride.
You know,
We don't know how long. What time does he get to work at? Because he leaves from here at, let's say,
8:43 a.m.
That's what the note said, right?
That
cool.
tracks.
8:43.
Okay.
What time does he get to the office?
You've actually never seen him arrive at the office. You know, he leaves his house and his secretary is making it seem like he's in his office, but you never actually saw him arrive and go in.
we're going to have to track where he goes.
I think
he might not be going to the office. Like I said, I didn't see him go there.
Right. Also, if we follow, I still think we got to follow this vehicle, because if we put him in a cage that is locked and is burning, there'll just be ash. You can't bring back ash.
Yeah, I can't
really
do that
into another being.
Bring back Ash. We know?
I mean, yeah, you want to make a check. So like whoever has the highest Arcana, make a roll with advantage, because you're all kind of brainstorming, right? You're all working as a team here.
I have a 3.
So probably not me.
Okay.
9.
9 and a 1.
Yeah, you don't know. It's all Orzhov business, all this bringing people back to life. So the thing is, in Ravnica, and I think we talked about this before, there's no... Like in Dungeons & Dragons, you have at high level access to spells that simply bring the dead back to life. And I think the ones that work quick, like Revivify or whatever, those still work in Ravnica, right? You can just bring someone back from the dead if they've died within the 5 minutes or whatever those spells allow. But the higher level ones, they're like, you can bring someone back as long as you have like a tiny piece of their body. I don't think those work. And I think that there's like fairly quick, the 5-second rule for corpses it's true in Ravnica. I think your soul and your body separate. But the Orzhov has lots of ways of bringing like ghosts back. It's not about bringing them back to life, but about summoning people's ghosts. And I don't think anywhere that I could find there's any clear, like, this is what happens to you in Ravnica when you die. I think people don't know, but the Orzhov are like, yeah, but we can conjure people's ghosts. And there's probably some debate as to whether the ghost is a soul or whether it's like a psychic reflection of the person or like whatever. But the Orzhov have control over that. They can do that. But if you can kill him and destroy his body and make sure that no Orzhov gets anywhere near whatever's left, that might work, but who knows, right? You've also only recently learned that there are colossally powerful entities that can reshape the universe, right? So.
Okay, so I think we kill him, eat his body, and and then hide or poop. I don't know.
Guys, I have it.
Let's hear it.
We kill him, take his body to Restov, the bookkeeper back in Orzhov, the necromancer, and we pay him. We just get him to make sure that the soul is never able to be found.
Yeah, you could bribe, because that's the thing is you want to go one direction or the other, right? Like prevent the Orzhov from ever getting access to him, or if you have your own pocket Orzhov that you can bribe, have them, make sure that they don't get brought back, right? Destroy the body in a ritual way that prevents the ghost from ever being summoned.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, quick, everybody. How much money can you pull?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get our bribe together. Everybody looks in their pockets and they're like, we got $20.
I've got 35 Xenos, a bone flute, and dang, I already gave away my Orzhov ring.
I love the like the pocket dump here. Everyone's just like, I got a button, some lint.
Let's see. I got a crowbar, this hammer, got a bunch of darts. They didn't come in handy as much as I thought they would have.
I mean, there's an unused dartboard on the wall right now. So
I'll throw a dart. Oh, it didn't even stick. It just fell. Okay. These aren't sharp. I should have checked that.
Safety kids, safety darts.
A vial of seaweed. So.
Oh yeah, it's not going to help anyone.
It's such a universal Dungeons and Dragons experience. They're like, what are we gonna do? And you just watch everyone look through their character sheet. Like, there's gotta be an answer in here somewhere. One of these, it's the adventure game thing. Like, use crowbar on Ironclad. Does that work? No. Okay. All right.
It would.
Okay. What if we did
been
this?
Nice if. I was gonna say it was gonna be nice if TK was here because they always have the most amount of loot.
Yes, yeah. Tack has all of the money and is the sneakiest and is currently nowhere to be found.
Okay, what if we go into his house?
Yeah.
Rob it first.
Mm-hmm.
Kidnap, kill, bring him to the necromancer. Bada bing, bada boom. Kill his kids. Bring them to the.
Winnegar's like that one senator that keeps trying to slip in the weird thing into the bill where they're like, all right, everybody, we're going to be talking about Bill 17A today. This allocates public funding to city parks in the inner city and also makes it legal to kill children. Winnegar!
Do we have a yay or nay? I don't care about inner city kids. Okay.
That's right. Think about how beautiful these parks will be when there's no children in them. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so I mean that's not a bad plan. The idea that you're going to both rob and murder him, and then use the money from the robbery to pay a corpse dealer to get rid of the body for you. That's
yeah. And we could just make it seem like it's about money, right?
And we could totally make it seem like about money. We could also, I think, during the day, kind of scope it out if we pretend to be a part of the renovation crew.
Right. So you want to pretend to be laborers, go in, look around. Now the only problem with that is going to be that they are not renovating the entire house. They're building a new wing. So you'll have to get an excuse to come in and look around.
We'll also have to take him to the necromancer still alive.
No.
I mean, we have to kill him.
You could kill him.
Oh, okay.
Also, Vinegar, how good are you at impersonating interior decorators?
Oh, why don't you tell me?
Okay.
That track. Yeah.
I guess pretty good. I don't know. I'd have to see them. It really depends. Everyone I do kind of just sounds like this, though.
Yeah.
Because there was an interior decorator who was going in and out.
Yeah, no, she seems to interact with a lot of like variety of people, but to your point, Road, that one person, that decorator, that's the constant, which means she's more likely to trust if you look like that, if you're pretending to be that person, but also it's going to be the hardest to mimic because she's the most familiar with them.
So we go on a date with the interior designer to learn her personality traits and flaws. Then we impersonate her to get inside the house. Just Winnegar. Torgor and I will come in as lowly construction workers.
Wait, why can't I be a lowly construction worker?
Because you're the only one who can disguise themselves.
Yeah, everybody with a bonus to their charisma score in the party, raise your hand.
Torgor is very intimidating. I will
That's
put
true.
that out there, and that's about it.
I have a perception score, but that's about it.
But we just have to get into the house, though. We don't have to like
scope out where the valuables are for bribing someone.
Oh God, this is getting way more difficult. I just thought we'd fleece the place. Like, you want to go in there and like scope out the place first?
Yeah, if we're just gonna wing it, then I guess let's fucking wing it. It's only our lives in the balance. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
those are the magic words to Arachdos. Like, we're just gonna wing it. It's only life and death on the line. Like that's the fucking ethos, right?
Oh, I may have lost my maul, but I got this cool bladed chain. I'm ready for it.
I was waiting for somebody to suggest that we just wing it and light shit on fire.
I mean, I do think we should have a cart or someplace to lay the body down on the way out. Because I can definitely carry it from the inside of the house, but I'm not going to carry a body on my back through the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So we can
That's
just get a cart with a tarp. And then, yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a great plan. So let's take a short break here, and when we get back, we'll put together an inventory of things that you need to execute your plan, and then we'll get it rolling and see what happens. I'm sure it's gonna go great. I do like that you're making an assassination plan that requires no real sneaking, which is good. You're playing to your strengths, so we'll see how it goes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to execute this plan, and hopefully not any of the characters.
Or children.
Or any children. Keep your children safe.
Stop
everybody.
bringing it up.
I'm saying not to do it. I'm saying don't do it.
Why? Who would even think about it?
That's it. It's
thought
over.
It was out there.